Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Master Scheduling and Forecasting for Smarter Labor Management. My name is Laura Lee Cole, and I am the Customer Marketing Manager here at Restaurant 365. Thank you guys for joining us today. We know that labor management is one of the most critical and complex aspects of running a restaurant efficiently, and today we're going to dive into best practices for scheduling and forecasting to help you make smarter labor decisions that drive profitability. We're going to have Melissa Rex joining us today. Yes. And she's going to be sharing her presentation live here. We'll go over some housekeeping. As always, this session is being recorded. So if you need to step away, don't worry. You'll receive a link usually the following day. So it does give us time to get this uploaded and crafted and ready for you. We do encourage questions, so feel free to drop them into the Q&A box. Just use that little question mark icon and we'll address as many as possible during our session. If we don't get to your question live, we will follow up, so don't have any worries. Melissa, would you start sharing your screen? And we'll start.
So sorry about that.
There we go. That's what we covered. Yeah, and if you need any help, contact us at marketing@restaurant365.com. We're going to go to the next slide for the agenda. We're going to go through it, and I'm going to introduce you to Melissa. And then we're going to talk about why 365, right? Why Restaurant 365 to master scheduling and forecasting. We want to talk about smarter labor management. Melissa's going to share best practices, strategies, insights to help you optimize labor scheduling with Restaurant 365 solutions. We'll dive into a question and answer session, and we're going to answer your questions live. Again, we'll get to as many as we possibly can. And then we'll go ahead and wrap up with some key takeaways and next steps. So here we go. Let's dive in. I'm thrilled to introduce today's coach, Melissa Rex, one of our amazing customer success managers. Melissa brings over 25 years of hospitality experience, including working as a chef for Hyatt Resorts and managing both front of the house and back of the house operations. Most recently, she served as the Director of Operations Services for over 10 years for a group of fast casual cafes, coffee houses, and a commissary in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her expertise spans a wide range of operational areas, as you can see: food costing and inventory management, actual versus theoretical analysis, scheduling and forecasting, why we're here today. And most importantly, she's been in your shoes administering and optimizing key operational systems like Aloha, Olo, and of course, Restaurant 365. She was a customer before she joined our team. So she knows how to drive efficiency and profitability using the same solutions that you're using today. And so, Melissa, we're excited to learn from you today, and I ask you to take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura Lee. Hello, everyone, and a big welcome to all of you for joining us today. I'm very excited to have you here with us. Today, we are going to talk about labor management and how you can leverage smart labor and forecasting within R365 to help you make some better labor decisions. So this is pretty much a three-step process in order to get your labor forecast suggestions. So we're going to start by digging into the labor matrix, which is part of our first part of smart labor. Then we're going to look at our brand new weekly forecasting experience. We have a lot of cool updates in there. And then finally, we're going to bring all that together and show you how you can make the most of those tools and put it together with your scheduling. So before we jump in, let's start with a quick poll.
The poll is live. Let us know, what is your biggest challenge with labor forecasting today? Accurately predicting labor needs, adjusting forecasts based on real-time data, managing labor costs while maintaining service quality, training staff to use forecasting tools. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And we're going to share those results. It looks like about, yeah, 32% managing labor costs while maintaining service quality and 29% accurately predicting labor needs. The other ones fall a little bit short of those. All
Yeah,
right.
just a little bit, but for the most part, it looks like all of those seem to be pain points. And, I can definitely relate to every single one of those pain points myself. The great news is the smart labor and forecasting tool that can really help you eliminate all this guesswork. It helps you avoid the underscheduling, the overscheduling. It'll help you keep your employees happier and your business running more smoothly. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're first going to take a look at the labor matrix here. This is the first step in smart labor, and it works hand in hand with the forecaster to help you determine what those right staffing levels are going to be for your operation. So getting to the labor matrix is very easy. You're going to start out in Smart Ops. You will click on the labor menu, and then you will click on labor rules. And then you're going to scroll all the way to the right until you find the labor matrix tab. So before we get any further in here, I do want to mention first of all, you must be subscribed to Smart Labor or Advanced Labor Forecasting, and Smart Labor has to be enabled at your location record level in order for this labor matrix to appear. So if you're in your database and you do not see this labor matrix option, just check with your customer success manager to make sure that Smart Labor is included and that your subscription is set up and everything is set up correctly. Okay, so also you should know that the labor matrix is location specific. So before you start setting it up, you're going to want to double check here that you've selected the right location, as each one of these locations do need to be configured separately. So we're going to start by looking at the general tab here. And first, this is where you're going to enter all of your operating hours. So if you leave this section blank, the system's going to automatically default to 12 a.m. as a start of day. And so I definitely encourage you to get your hours filled in here. Otherwise, it's not going to make your forecasting or your scheduling look really good, because you're going to see a bunch of empty hours if you don't open till like 6 or 7 or 8. So get those ones filled in. If you happen to have a 24/7 business, you can go ahead and click this all day checkbox. And then below the hours grid here, you're going to see all the jobs that are going to be available for scheduling. So this first column is going to let you choose whether or not you even want this job to show up on the scheduler at all. The second column will just list the job role. And then the third column is going to help you classify those jobs as either fixed labor or variable labor. So fixed labor, right, we're talking about things like salaried managers, administrative roles, things that really don't depend on your sales, but you need to have them in there. And then of course, variable labor is going to be based off of your sales and whatever your sales per man hour or entree per man hour settings are. Okay, so the next tab just focuses on the fixed labor. This one is super straightforward, easy to use. Here you can set your weekly hours. So if you do have your manager, that's going to be set, and you need to have them 40 hours every week, no matter what. That's how you're going to plug this in here. So again, not tied to sales, but definitely important on your schedule. The next tab here, this is where you get your real customizations to be able to build in here. So this is the variable labor setup. And this is what you're going to use for most of your wage-based roles to help you determine how many people you're going to need at any given time, right? So first here, you're able to decide whether your suggested labor hours are going to be based off of sales or by entree. You also have flexibility to be able to use one labor matrix for the entire day or separate matrices for each of your day parts. Then you can also set your labor period to be the entire week, or to have the ability to adjust them day by day. So the day by day can be useful for times maybe you have a day of the week that is especially busier, like Sunday brunch. Okay, next here, this is for choosing your labor matrix, and this is where you will decide whether you're going to use a general labor matrix, and that applies sales per man hour settings across all the jobs that you have, all the job roles, or if you want to create a custom labor matrix where you can set unique sales per man hour or entree per man hour settings for each individual position. So in this example, we're going to use the general matrix. So you can see here, right, as we start between $0 and $299 for any given hour, it's going to say you that it's going to suggest that you need one employee. But then if sales were to hit between 300 and 1200 in an hour, it says you need 3 employees, so on and so forth. So this is where you are going to go in and figure out what is, that optimal level that you need to have for your business needs, plug them in here. And sometimes this takes a little bit of trial and error, right? You're probably not going to get it, 100% right off the bat, but this will give you a really good baseline. um, as we look at how you analyze some of this data, it'll show you where you can adjust some of these things. So when we get this information back out of here and you're comparing your actual versus your scheduled labor, you'll be able to see very easily where some things might have gone off. And then you can just come right back here to your labor matrix and make those adjustments and keep fine tuning it until you like really get it to where you want it to be. So additionally, you can also fine tune your labor minimums by day part. So if you have different labor minimums, depending on if it's morning or late night for entrees or anything like that, you can choose those different minimums here. Okay, now as we wrap up on smart labor and the labor matrix, we're going to look at our last tab. And this is where you're just going to set your day parts. So on the first tab here, you will create and name your day parts, and then you can click on the day part settings tab to enter the exact hours for each day part. And then once your labor matrix is fully set up at this point, you're ready to move into the forecasting tool. So before we go into that, I do want to make another note to make sure that you're aware of this. So the reason we are going in this order is that you have to make sure that your labor matrix is configured the way that you want it before publishing your forecast. If you publish your forecast and then update your labor matrix afterward, you will need to republish your forecast in order to push out those changes to the matrix. So labor matrix first, then your forecast, then scheduling. All right, now let's jump into our forecasting here. So for those of you that are already familiar with our current forecasting, we have enhanced that. We now have a new weekly forecasting experience available. It's got a lot of updates and enhancements. And so let me go over what some of those new things are here. First and foremost, obviously, is that you can forecast by the week. So this makes it very easy to see, plan, get your week view, and then just kind of go each week to the next. We've added color coding in there so you can easily see adjustments that have been made. We still have hourly forecasting available, so you can still get that granularity that you might need. But we have even added options for 30 and 15-minute increments if you want to get even more granular there. You can now easily add events that might affect sales fluctuations so that you can be prepared for that and your team is aware of what's going on. And then now you can also create custom rules and configurations that really help you dial in some of those specific goals. And we'll dig into all those here in a little bit. Okay, so first, this is what the new weekly forecasting experience looks like. So you can see here our week view, and we'll just work through this entire sheet here. So just like the labor matrix, you're going to see that all of this is location specific. So labor matrix and weekly forecasting, you do need to set up by location. So the first thing that you're going to do is select your location here from the drop down. Then you'll check to make sure that you are in the correct current week, whatever week that you want to be working on. You can use these little arrows to scroll to the side, or you can just click on the date range itself to select another week. Keep in mind, you cannot edit a forecast in the past, so just make sure that you're focusing on today moving forward. And then once you've picked your week that you're working on, you're going to see this system generated sales projection show up here. So this projection gets based off of whatever projection model you have chosen to base your forecast off of. So this projection model actually holds, all those parameters that the forecaster is going to look at for past sales when making its forecasting predictions. So we do have several preloaded projection models in here. The one that you're looking at right here is the Smart Forecast Current Year. And that is calculating a trailing 8-week average daily sales. Some other options that we have are the Smart Forecast year over year. So that would be a year over year, 8-week trailing average daily sales. Then we also have last week actual sales, last year actual sales, and then custom projections. So let's talk about custom projections for just a second here. A lot of customers, they're going to just use this smart forecast projection model, which works really great. But sometimes it can lead to some inaccurate forecasts, like forecasting an entire day of business on a day that falls on a holiday. So by setting up custom rules and configurations, you can exclude some of those factors that might lower that foot traffic, like holidays, construction, maybe you've got some scheduled maintenance going on. And then you can also do things like account for boosts in business, like promotions or special events. So you can access the custom configurations and rules through this gear icon. And once you click that, you are going to see a side panel pop out, and it's going to give you all of your rules here. So you can see in this example that there is actually a specific rule for Thanksgiving holiday, where it's going to, it's looking exactly at what day that Thanksgiving holiday is and setting up a rule to look at that. Likely they've got lower foot traffic on that day, right? There's a couple of bingo nights, trivia nights, promotional type of game nights. They might get boosts in sales there and they want to be prepared. So this is where you can set all of that up. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at our manual adjustment row here. So this row allows you to be able to modify whatever the system projections are. And you can modify these by either percentage or by dollar amount. And this is where we added some color coding, right? So you can see here that the red gauge is showing a negative adjustment. The blue gauge here shows a positive adjustment. And then if you have a gray gauge, it's going to be no adjustment. And you can also see here for the entire week that we do have a net positive adjustment going on. So below those gauges, you are going to see a comparison row. And this will show you how your current forecast stacks up against last week and last year. So that way you can, have a really quick comparison. It'll easily call out some things. If maybe you're showing 0 sales the previous year on this date. Maybe that makes you want to go back and see what was going on that date. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there a different event I need to have in there? So then right below the comparison row is going to be your labor forecast row, and that's everything that's pulling in from your labor matrix with all those sales per man hour settings that we set up earlier. Right below that, there's the events, and this is where you can add events to help plan for any major happenings that are going on around you that could impact your sales. So for example, I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I've worked very extensively in hospitality and restaurant operations my entire time here. And every October, we have the International Balloon Fiesta, and it is huge and it draws huge crowds from all over the world. So basically, every hospitality business that is in Albuquerque or the surrounding area is at complete full capacity during this entire week. So being sure to add an event like that to our forecast just only helps ensure that we've got proper staffing and inventory planning to be able to make sure that we can take care of all of the guests that might be coming in. So with that, even these events will carry over to your schedule as well. So it's a very seamless integration that, will help keep your team on track and in the know of what's going on at any time. So on the next slide, we are going to look at how to do our forecast by the day. And so you'll see here that we've got this little icon up in the top left. Just click on the view day icon, or you can select one of the days in the header and it'll go to that day. But here we're clicking on the view day icon. And now you can easily see also if you are in the day view here versus the week view, because this button is just going to let you toggle back and forth between the two. So when you click on the day view, by default, your first day of business is going to be the first day showing up in this week. But you can easily switch through those days just by clicking one of the other dates, and then it's going to end up being highlighted in blue. So it makes it really easy to be able to toggle through all of your days and, kind of do a quick verification, get through all of them, make sure everything looks good. So note that in this example, on this particular day, on the week view, there was a $2,000 positive sales adjustment, right? Or forecasting adjustment that we saw. So this was already made for the day, and it is for the event spring brunch that we were seeing on Sunday the 23rd. So you'll see here that that $2,000, the system will automatically allocate the entire amount as weighted adjustments across each hour, depending on what your hourly forecasts typically are. So if you don't agree with how some of those adjustments were made there, you can just click on this pencil icon and then adjust them individually to make sure that it's matching whatever you need for your business level. If you want even more precision, you can toggle here. You'll see right now we're in the hour, but you can toggle between 30 minutes and 15-minute increments. Um, Make a note also, this is permission based, so you do need to have incremental forecasting permissions enabled in your database in order to see this toggle. So you can continue fine tuning that way. And then when you're all done, you can just hop right back into the week view. So another reason you might want to adjust in an hourly or a day view, maybe someone calls up your restaurant and they're a local group and they say, hey, 20 of us are going to be showing up next Tuesday at 11. They want to make sure that you're aware of that. You can just jump into Tuesday, add an event, for whatever this local group is that they're going to be coming. You can go exactly to that hour and plug in what you want for your forecasting adjustment, and then be ready to go. It's as simple as that. Okay, so once your forecast has been adjusted, verified, everything looks good, it's time to publish. So you just go ahead and click on the publish button. Once you publish it, it's going to get sent directly to your scheduler to work alongside with that labor matrix. And then as a little caveat here, you'll see that we did also call out that it does go to ordering as well. We're not going to talk about ordering much here, but this will help you also make smarter orders that are based off of your usage and your sales. However, you do have to make sure that you've got actual versus theoretical set up on all of your recipes. Otherwise, you won't get accurate suggested ordering. So if you're unsure about that process, or if you want to learn more about that, make sure to reach out to your customer success manager for some guidance, and they'll get you all set up. Okay, so now we are going to shift gears and see how all this ties into scheduling. But first, we are going to do another poll question.
Yeah, and so this has popped up even in our Q&A session coming up. I see some of you don't have that weekly forecasting experience yet in Restaurant 365. So how interested are you in moving to that experience? I know we've shared a little bit as it's been launched, but we are continuously working on it and improving it, and it really is the new way to go. So, and I think the best way to go, as Melissa's has shown today. I love it. People are interested, somewhat interested. They want to learn more first, and we're going to make sure. So as you fill out this poll or give your answer to this poll, especially those of you who are interested, you want to learn more, we're going to connect you with your CSM. If you want to get a jump on that, you can send them an email as well. But we'll get that customer success team to help you transition and talk you through what that new forecasting experience can do for your overall experience in Restaurant 365. All right, we're going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And just sharing the results quickly, showing everybody we're pretty excited here about this new experience.
Yeah, looks great. Looks like lots of interest here. So we're very excited to share more with you about that and get you guys on the weekly forecasting. Okay, so now we're going to talk about why you should use scheduling, right? So scheduling can be a game changer for both managers and the employees. And here's some reasons why. So first, it's all about accessibility, right? Employees can use our R365 app and they can easily manage their schedules, request time off, things like that. Managers can review the labor costs versus their scheduled labor. And that makes it a lot easier for them to stay on top of some of those costs and make some better decisions. And then also, with the smart labor integration here, it's going to take your scheduling just to the next level with being able to utilize the labor matrix to suggest what those optimal labor levels should be for your operation. Okay, so here we are seeing the R365 scheduling app. So this is really where you can give your employees that flexibility that they want. With R365 scheduling, they can easily download this app directly onto their personal mobile devices. And then in this app, they can see their individual schedule or the entire store schedule at any time. They can also stay informed with notifications. You guys are able to communicate out, send messages out to all the employees, any sort of shift changes or anything that they need to be aware of. Um, any sort of announcements you can send out through here. Employees can request shifts, request time off, adjust their availability, all of that, with just a few taps in here. And then they can also keep their profiles up to date quickly and easily. And, this is important, especially end of the year, beginning of the year, W-2s are coming out, people have moved, you might not have the right information there. They can keep all of it up to date here for you. So all of these features here, they make a really huge difference in employee satisfaction. So not only will your employees be happier, your managers will be happier because they're able to improve their communication and they're able to stay on top of the scheduling too. Okay, so next we're taking a look here at, this is just a look at our schedule calendar. And so once your employees are set up on your location POS and then they're assigned a job role in R365, they're automatically going to show up on this scheduler. So this helps make your scheduling super easy. You can set up employee schedules and you can easily copy them from week to week to make it, if you don't have a lot of change in how you schedule your employees, that makes it really easy to go from one week to the next. There's a dashboard that pops up for any employee schedule requests or availability that your managers can access and handle right there. And then this doesn't just stop at scheduling, right? It also gives you information that we're showing here at the top, like sales forecasting and your labor percentages, so you can stay on top of those. And then when your labor matrix is built in with your forecasting, your labor forecast will show right here too. So all of this showing together is really going to help you make those really good scheduling decisions. Okay, so now that you've seen each of these separate parts of smart labor and forecasting, let's see how all of them work together. So in this example that you're seeing here, you see that the labor matrix was set up to recommend labor hours based off of entrees per labor hour, right? As opposed to sales per labor hour. So you're going to want to just, decide which one that you want to have in there. And then this forecast shows that they're calculating that you need to have 399 total hours for the week. And then it goes even further, breaking it down by job role. So there are also some colored indicators right here. And these ones show you, like, you can see the green checkbox that says that your schedule is right on track. It looks like it's a director of something, so likely that was fixed labor. So should always show as a green check mark. A negative red number is going to show you how many hours you are underscheduled by. And then a positive red number is going to show you how many hours you are overscheduled by. So that'll give you some really good, quick indications on whether or not you need to make some adjustments to your schedule. Okay, then you can easily get to see your suggested labor by hour just by clicking into the day on your schedule, and then that'll open up this view that shows everything by the hour. And then you're going to see here, right? It's on this day, it was suggesting how many entrees were for the entire day, and then just like our forecasting adjustments, it allocates that across each hour, weighted depending on what those sales forecasts are for that particular hour. So this gives you a really good visual of being able to see where you need to place that shift. If you need to move it up a couple hours, move it back a couple hours, anything like that. This gives you a really great visualization. Okay, so while you're in the scheduler, you'll want to set up some customizations yourself for your suggested labor hours that are coming in. So on the side panel here, you will see this little configuration icon. So when you click on that, it's going to open up this side panel. And you are going to want to select your advanced metrics. And that is what's going to make your labor forecast, those rows, populate on your schedule. So when you choose these advanced metrics, it gives you some selections down here, right? You can choose burden labor, and that's going to include things like employee benefit estimates or daily management salary estimates. So if you want to include all of those costs in there, choose burden labor. If you want to only have your wage-based costs that are coming from the POS, you choose unburdened labor, which is, I would say, typically what most operators are choosing. Most operators also prefer scheduling based off of gross sales, right? So you do have the flexibility here, though, to choose between gross or net, depending on what your business level needs are. Finally, up here, this is where you can also incorporate the weather and events that you saw in your weekly forecasting. So when you click these ones on, that's when that information is also going to show on your scheduler. So this makes it to where everything is seamless going from your forecasting right into your scheduler. Okay, and so another way to make your scheduling easy is to save your schedule as a template. And this will include all of these little metrics that you end up choosing on the side to set up your configurations, right? So in order to save a template, you're just going to click on that same configuration icon that popped out this side panel. Then you're going to tap on this plus icon right here at the top, and then it's going to populate this little pop-up box. You're going to name whatever you want your weekly schedule, to be weekly schedule. And then up here is where you're going to choose your save template. And then you can just apply that to each of your schedules, and then it'll automatically have all of your customized metrics chosen here and available. This makes it super easy, super efficient to be able to get that schedule built without having to spend, a lot of repetitive work going on in there. Okay, so after we've gone through all the steps, we've built our labor matrix, we've published our weekly forecast, built out our schedule, we're good to go on all that. Now, how do we look at some of that data that's coming back in, right? And this is where I said, this is where this data is going to come back in. And maybe you need to go back and tweak that labor matrix a little bit. You need to make some adjustments on, okay, when I'm hitting this dollar of sales per hour, I actually only need 2 people instead of 3. And that's where you're going to be able to fine tune, and that's where you're really going to be able to cut some of those labor costs. So what we're looking at here is our operations dashboard in SmartOps. And for you and your team, this is going to become kind of your daily go-to overview. It's going to give you a really great at a glance look at how your daily operations are going. So let's look at some of the key features in here. So you can see that this black line here, this is going to show what the system had suggested labor for you. Then each of these bars are going to be what the scheduled labor is that came in. And the colors on there, it's going to show, a green bar is going to show that you scheduled within 1 hour of what they had suggested the labor. The yellow bar is going to show a 1 to 3 hour variance, and then the red bar is going to show any variance that's more than 3 hours. So that's a really good indicator that it might need a little bit of adjustment going on. Then at the top of the page, you are going to find a couple of gauges here, and this is where you're going to find labor metrics that highlight both your optimal labor variance for the day along with your labor percentage of sales. Then over here on the side, you will also see some other key operational indicators that are just going to give your managers instant access to some of the critical data that you guys use to make some of those informed decisions, right? Okay, the other dashboard that's available there in SmartOps is the labor dashboard. So this makes it easier to just dig right into the labor on its own. And here you're able to see your scheduled labor versus your current year labor. And then you can also see that in comparison to what last year's labor is. So it gives you a really good visualization if you're staying on track, It allows you to spot trends easily or to see if something's kind of gone off track. So also, if you happen to be a regional manager, director of ops, anything like that, you can select multiple locations here from the dropdown, and that'll give you a consolidated labor view across all of your sites. Okay, so how else can we look at some of our labor variances and identify maybe some potential issues that are going on? So the DSS, your daily sales summary, is probably the easiest way for your managers to be able to do this, to go in, kind of review it on a daily basis. Here you can see actual hours that were worked versus their hours scheduled. And then you can also see a variance in those hours. So you can easily spot those. Then you can, managers, you can check these either from your desktop or through the R365 app, which makes it even more convenient. And then you can also add comments right here. So this can add some clarification on overtime or missed hours. Maybe they're missed hours, maybe someone had to go home sick, someone else had overtime because they were covering for that sick person. You can explain all that here. Makes it very easy to keep everybody on the same page. Reports also. So to get you even more detailed breakdown of your labor costs, we recommend running reports on this. So this one is a favorite. It's punch details, actual versus scheduled labor. And this is going to show you pretty much everything that you need to know to track what's going on between what was scheduled and what was actually going on. You can check your data for one location, a couple locations, or all locations at once. You can choose to include burden labor, or you could choose whether or not to include burden labor or daily salary estimates. And then you can easily compare your actual versus scheduled hours, total labor dollars per day. And then you can also quickly identify those discrepancies at the employee level as they're called out here, and you can see what might be going on with them. So this will help you improve that labor strategy, help you fine tune any of those things that you might need to adjust within your labor matrix or your forecasting. All right, so to wrap all of that up, I just have a final few quick scheduling tips and tricks for you. So to help keep your schedule clean while you're going through, you're going to want to be sure to remove any employees who won't be scheduled by checking this inactive button in the employee record. And then you'll also want to hide job roles that won't be scheduled by checking this exclude from schedule checkbox, and that's in the job record. Then I encourage you to assign colors to different job roles. It makes it very easy to identify on the schedule. And you can set this up in the general tab of the job record, and you can see how it transfers over to the schedule. And then finally, you can double click on any unassigned shifts, and you can instantly add employees to them. It makes it very easy to get those assigned in a jiffy. So that is about it. Let's go ahead and do another poll.
Awesome. Here we go. So that was an incredible session, Melissa, and you're just amazing for sharing your expertise and insights, helping us to master scheduling and forecasting for smarter labor management. So we're just going to launch this poll and ask if you'd like to learn more about smart labor and how it optimizes scheduling, improves labor forecasting, all those things in one. I think she put together a powerful presentation of just how you can leverage that to take your organization and your operations to the next level. We'll leave this poll open for a little bit just so everybody can get their answer in. If you want to get to know a little bit more, we will schedule time with you with one of our product experts. They can take a deeper dive, give you a quick overview, whatever it is that you need. And if you're feeling successful right now, that's fantastic. Share your expertise with others as you can. All right, we're going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1. Quickly share results, and we want to move into questions because we have a number of them, and I think this is going to be a really fruitful session. All right, poll is done. So coming into questions, we've got a huge list, and Melissa, maybe you want to open up that question dialog box as well, just to follow along Some of these might be redundant, so if they are, you let me know as the product expert. We're going to start with the first one from Chris. So can you set sales per labor hour by a certain department sales, or is it only total sales?
No, that's only by total sales. So it is only bringing in what your daily complete sales are. So you can separate it based off of net or gross, but not by department sales.
And is the labor matrix by job code?
Yes, you can absolutely set up. So we looked at a general labor matrix, but you can do the custom labor matrix, and that's where you can set different sales per man hour parameters or entree per man hour parameters for each individual job position.
I think this kind of leads into the next
Yep.
question from Catherine, right? That the separate matrices for front of the house, back of the house for the same shift.
Oh, this one is interesting. This one, she's actually talking about wanting to choose possibly sales per labor hour for front of house, but entree count for back of house. That is, I am not sure if it's available to be separated that way, but we will follow up and get that answer for you for sure, because that is a very interesting question, and I could definitely see how that could be really helpful.
Awesome. Customizable by position, I think, right? We talked about cooks, servers, bartenders. Yep. That's,
Absolutely, that's the same. Yep, you would just
yep.
choose the custom labor matrix.
All right. And you showed that you can go off of gross sales. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as answered. But I know that there was a question in here saying, and this might just be a support issue, or maybe there's something in settings. Further down the list, someone was asking when they choose gross sales or they choose net sales, it's showing the same number.
Hmm. Yeah, that's strange. It shouldn't be showing the same number for you on that. So I think that depends on how your sales are importing into your database. So definitely that's something that we'd probably want to follow up with or help follow up with your CSM on that.
Awesome.
And just on that
Yeah.
last question too, I think it
Okay.
specifically asked if you could use gross sales off of the forecasting, and the answer is yes. So
Mhm.
I did not show that on that weekly forecasting view, but right next to the sales projection model, there's also a choice for net sales or gross sales. So they're right next to each other.
And they want to know if they can do just 3 weeks and not an 8 week view in
Yeah,
forecast.
and that's, you can set up those custom configurations, and you can make it however many weeks that you want to. Absolutely. The custom rules and configurations really allow you to make that forecast exactly how you want it to be, however many days, weeks, all of that that you want to look back on.
Awesome. There are a number of questions saying like, we don't have the weekly forecast view. Definitely hope that you filled out that survey question. We'll get that to you. As long as we work through the CSM channel, they'll have some questions and make sure that your organization is ready for the switch. So
Yes,
is there
absolutely.
a way to add in a different revenue category for forecasting aside from day parts, like maybe third party takeout sales? Maybe third party delivery, takeout sales, something like that.
I'm not sure that it gets into that much granularity there. Again, that's kind of like the department sales question from earlier, and really it's pulling in your total net sales for the day from the POS. But that could be a really great enhancement, feature enhancement request.
And we do have an idea portal for that.
Yes.
So if you want to submit feature enhancement requests, it is Restaurant 365. I believe it's idea dot. I will get you there actually. I will follow up with an email tomorrow when I send out the recording. I'll get you that as well. Let's see. The labor matrix, does it account for prep prior to opening and cleaning post closing? I guess opening and closing hours, right? When there isn't sales.
Well, that's where you're going to want to utilize your labor minimums. So Absolutely, you can account for that. And I think that's where, when you saw on the operations dashboard where that kind of opening hour and that closing hour were red with lots, they probably did not have labor minimums set up there. So, we know that you need to have a certain number of people running your operations, whether you have sales there or not. So definitely utilize the labor minimums, and that'll help close up that gap.
And how far in advance can we forecast weekly?
You can forecast indefinitely in advance. I mean, you can literally just scroll through those weeks. Things like weather, they only will go out like 14 days. So, if you're in an area that has lots of volatile weather that can change from day to day, week to week, 2 weeks is kind of it as far as, banking on that information. But you can absolutely forecast out as far as you want to go.
And how do you handle sales that only impact specific departments? I think we kind of covered that, but like catering sales that doesn't impact kitchen or servers, bussers, greeters.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the same thing. It is bringing in total sales. So again, that sounds like a really great and possibly popular future enhancement request.
There you go. Both of you should submit that. Let's see. Is it possible to block off requests by department, like time off requests? Can you only block requests for the whole restaurant?
Yes, unfortunately, right now, blackout days are only by store location. This happens to be the second time I was asked this in 2 days. So again, just like the other feature enhancement requests, please put that into the portal, and then let your CSM know so we can go in and, make sure it gets some traction. But that's how we prioritize some of these enhancements, new releases, updated features, all of that. We really look for your guys' feedback on what's important to you.
I think we're moving into the app. Can employees view their previous time punches in the app?
I do not believe that they can. I think it is just the schedule in there, but we can double check and follow up with you on that. But I believe the answer is no on that as far as seeing their punches.
Okay, and what about messaging? Is it two-way or is it just manager to employee?
It is two-way from what I understand. So if they do need to send a message back, it should go back that same way. But again, I can double check on that one as well.
Let's see here. Another writing a schedule. The total hours scheduled per day do not show anywhere. It says how many hours you are plus or minus forecast, but not how many hours were scheduled total per day. Can you speak to how they might be able to work around that?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there too, because it will give you that, like I showed in the example about how it was suggesting that you need $399 or 399 hours for the entire week. Yeah, that amount, it's just gonna adjust, or go down as you schedule people, and that's probably gonna be your best indicator on where you're at. But I believe that sounds like it's probably going to be a really good feature enhancement request as well, because I can definitely see why you would need to have your total number showing.
And I think you covered, maybe not, maybe I'm mistaken based on the reports that you were sharing, but is there a theoretical versus actual labor percentage and dollar report?
Yeah, and that was the report that I showed. So that was
Okay.
the punch details, actual versus scheduled. And that's just going to show you a side-by-side comparison of what your actual hours are to your scheduled hours. So you can not only run that report, but that's where you can also go into the DSS to look at it by the day, and then you can see it right there, the actual, the scheduled, and the variance.
And is there some place they can track when schedules or to see a list of what schedules are published?
Well, the app will end up telling you, notifying the employees that they're published, and honestly, it's really just in the database. When you're in the scheduler, in the upper right hand side, it's either going to say published or unpublished. So that's probably the easiest way to track whether or not it's gone out.
All right, we've got time for a couple more questions. We'll have to follow up with the rest if we didn't get to yours. Is there a calendar view for approved time off requests?
Um, Not at this time that I believe. The time off requests are currently like list based. So again, probably a good feature enhancement request. Calendar view.
Oh, and thank you, Duke. You got my back today. Duke shared, he's got the ideas.restaurant365.com. He posted it in the question. So
Oh,
if you,
perfect.
yeah, so if you have those ideas that you've been sending our way today, please share them in there. Things do happen. It does work. I will promise you that. I mean, we get tons of requests, and so we can't take care of them all. But the more we get of the same request, right, that really drives the conversation for our product and development team. All right, so if we didn't get to your questions today, we will follow up. We thank you for being so engaged. It was really fabulous to have you attend. I just want to get to the next slide. We're going to wrap things up. I want to share a couple things with you. Yeah, as always, right? We have these amazing events every year. Our restaurant transformation tour 2025 is happening. You just missed out on New Orleans. That was on Monday, the 17th. A fantastic event was happening. And so we still have coming up Dallas, June 3rd. San Diego's in the center and in red, September 21 through 23rd, because that's our big customer extravaganza. That's like 2.5 days jam-packed with content, customer stories, and other things, just bringing us together to celebrate you as customers as well. And then finally, at the end of the year, we're going to be going to New York City. So beautiful during Christmas time or before the holidays. And it's just, we were there last year and it was just a fantastic event, just getting together with customers as well as people maybe you want to share us with. So bring them along with you. There is the QR code to scan, learn more, see the agenda, as well as grab those tickets. I will say we've got some special treats coming up for that San Diego event. So hint, hint, don't miss out. And finally, we are building a customer advisory board 2025. So we're looking at ways of expanding this customer advisory board. We know that our customers have unique needs. You know, there are some of you that are just starting out. Some of you are in that more than 100 location environment. So we want to build a customer advisory board that suits your needs, and that way you can give us for feedback, learn about, and maybe even beta test upcoming features. And of course, network with other industry leaders that are in similar situations like you, which is always super valuable. And we want to promote that. So if you're passionate about shaping the future of Restaurant 365, we invite you to apply. Using that QR code, it'll take you to our Survey Monkey. You can fill that out, get on the list. We'll be reviewing that with our product team, and as well as our customer success team, and trying to build out a better program moving forward 2025 and into the future. So thank you. Hope you take the time to do that. And finally, that just brings us to the end of our coaching session. A huge thank you to Melissa. Applause for sharing her expertise, and all of you for joining us today. Remember, you will receive a recording of the webinar via email, so be sure to check your inbox. Usually it's sent out the following day. So if you have any further questions, always feel free to reach out to me and our team. We are here to support you in making the most of Restaurant 365. So you can reach me at marketing@restaurant365.com. And thanks again for spending your time with us. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.